My name is Harriet Schleifer. Standing before you today, I feel as though I've been given a sacred task. I have been asked to present AJC's Moral Courage Award to the family of the man whose photo is displayed behind me, Dan Uzan. Friends of Dan describe him as a gentle giant. Standing at over 6'5", he was a basketball and soccer star. Dan was a volunteer security guard for the Danish Jewish community. He had volunteered to stand guard on the night of February 14th as the community celebrated the Bat Mitzvah of Hannah Ben-Tov. When Hannah's mother came to the community center to set up for the party that evening, she turned to Dan and said, "I am so happy you're going to be taking care of us tonight." That night, as Dan stood guard, a gunman opened fire outside. The gunman, a young jihadist, radicalized in prison, had attacked and killed one man at a free speech event earlier that day. According to reports, the shooter tried to break into the Jewish Cultural Center behind the synagogue, where about 80 Jewish teenagers were celebrating, but an unarmed Dan Uzan got in his way. Dan Rosenberg Asmussen, head of the Danish Jewish community, said of Dan, "He was always ready to do his part." Daniel Gahn, a fellow security guard, captured him perfectly by saying, Dan was a warm, loving, and exuberant friend who was always there for others and would lend a helping hand without hesitating. He had a huge heart with room for everyone. He was a son, a brother, a friend, and a teammate who was taken from us far too soon. Around 1,000 people attended Dan's funeral, including Danish Prime Minister Helle Thorning-Schmidt, who condemned the attack and said, "An attack on the Jews of Denmark is an attack on Denmark." I stand here today in sadness and sorrow. And as I stand here, I am determined to do all that is in my power to combat the deadly scourge of anti-Semitism that has arisen in Europe. To not sit idly by, but to meet the moment with AJC. But most of all, I stand here today to pay tribute to a family, a community, and a man, a hero, a beacon of moral courage, Dan Uzan. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage Nikolai Granger, Dan's best friend, Andrea Uzan, Dan's sister, Mordechai Uzan, Dan's father, and Bodil Uzan, Dan's mother, all of whom have flown in especially from Denmark to be with us today. Nikolai, Andrea, Mordechai, Bodil, I can only begin to imagine your searing pain and infinite sorrow, but I hope you can take a measure of comfort in the fact that the memory of your beloved Dan is an inspiration, a call to action, and the true embodiment of moral courage. I just wanted to in honor of the moral courage of your son, your brother, your friend. Thank you for being with us here today at this year's Global Forum. You have truly honored us by allowing us to honor you. And above all, to honor your beloved son, brother, and friend, Dan.
Sorry, I just have to get my speech. My brother Dan's birthday was last Tuesday on June 2nd. But this year there was no celebrations, only sadness and grief. The night to Sunday, February 15th, 2015, a young man brutally took the life of my brother Dan while Dan was guarding at a Bat Mitzvah celebration in the Jewish community in Copenhagen. We miss Dan every second of the minute, every minute of the hour, and every hour of the day. And when a new day starts, we miss him even more. In all this sadness and grief, our hearts have been touched by so many, family and friends, Danes and people from abroad, strangers who we have never met that have shared our tears and showed us so much kindness that it is beyond understanding. The fact that AJC, situated in Washington, D.C., 3,528 miles from Copenhagen, has thought of Dan and chosen to honor him. Warms our broken hearts, and our gratitude can't be expressed by words. The world has changed. There are fellow citizens among us that are ignorant, full of hate, and willing to give up the most precious in life, life itself. It is the obligation, the responsibility of the international society and the national governments to ensure the resources and the means to fight terrorism, fanatism, hatred, and discrimination in whatever form. In that fight, we cannot give in to fear and hatred. We have to stand strong on our fundamental principles: the rule of law, equality, and no acceptance of hate and violence. And our society has to find the courage to trust in these principles and to show that those that don't abide by the rules of the democratic society will be fought with the strongest weapon in a democracy, through the rule of law, a law that has to be kept just and fair, because if done in any other way, democracy and we have lost the fight. But even more importantly, the youth and the children of today and the generations to come have to be taught about the responsibilities of citizens in a democracy, a responsibility to the society as well as to fellow citizens. We as citizens in a democracy have an obligation to show our fellow citizens respect and have the obligation to speak out and act out when something is wrong or when somebody is wronged. The children of today and the generations to come have to learn and understand that there will and should not be a place for ignorance and hate in the world. It is a hard and long fight, and we cannot only rely on the international world, the national governments, and on organizations like AJC. We have to start with ourselves. A small gesture can make a big difference. Dan believed in action, and he always took upon himself responsibilities as if it was the most natural thing to do. Dan somehow understood that to create a safe environment and society, there has to be respect and trust, and that we have the responsibility to help where help is needed, no matter if it is a friend or a stranger. Dan met people as fellow human beings, no matter their age, nationality, race, or religion. He always gave them a warm smile and a few words on their way, and often greeted people by opening his long arms and giving them a big warm embrace. An embrace full of trust, respect, love, and protection. Dan had the courage to do good. May he be an example to us all. Honored be his memory. Thank you.